Hello everyone and welcome to Call Sign Charlie Models. Andre here, and today we have another inbox review, but today we aren't doing a kit. We are doing a upgrade set from HS Models for the 1/200 scale I Love Kit Arliegh Burke class destroyer. This is going to be all 3D printed parts. There's paint masks included, photo etch included, and a bunch of other stuff that is just all around gonna really upgrade that I Love Kit DDG class kit. And we did the inbox review of the actual kit yesterday, and straight out of the box that thing looks absolutely amazing. And this is going to send it to the next level with the high level of detail that you can get from 3D printing. And also there are a few corrections that are made with this set as well. This set is for the Flight 1 or 2, or also the Flight 2A or 3 levels of the DDGs out there. So you do have a wide range of the Arliegh Burkes to do in this. So going on by the top box, we have some nice CAD images of what all is included in the box here, along with the model. So this is how it's going to look at the very end, unpainted. All right, and then we go off to the side. We have some top aspects of it with all the 3D printed parts, and also the bow and stern aspect of it as well. And then we flip it over to the other side, and we have a nice little history about the Arliegh Burke class destroyer. If you want to read that, you can pause it and read it. And then going on, we have the general characteristics of the actual Arliegh Burke, and then a total class overview of the destroyer as well, going on with its history and everything, on with how many were built, how many are ordered, and all that. So again, some very nice details included on the outside of the box. Now we get the box open up. Let's take a look on how everything is packed up. And looking at inside, we have some nice packing right here. It's nicely protected by this large foam sheet. Definitely keep this. This works really nice for masking other things, and also you have a large amount of it. And then afterwards we have all the instructions and everything here. Now also on the inside of the box, we do have some details to go on right here. I'm going to try to keep that. We have the mask right here. We have 4 different options for our mask going on right there. And then on one side we have, try to reposition my hand, we have a bunch of the 3D parts that are included right there. And then on the other side, again, we have some more 3D printed parts with our ribs and also our MH60R Seahawks. With this one, we do have the option of having it fully extended and ready for flight, or we also do have the option of having it folded, like I was talking about yesterday, having one folded up and put into the hangar bay. So definitely going to use this as an option right here. And then we have on the other side, we have all of our other radars and ammo boxes and hatches and all that going on with this. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get everything pulled out of the box and set up so we can start going through the instructions and everything that is included in this box. Now this box, this upgrade set is a pretty pricey one. You can get it online for between $400 and $500 depending on where you get it from, and it depends on how deep you want to go. Like I said, it is a very expensive upgrade set, but it looks like it's going to be worth it, even though straight out of the box the I Love kit is a very, very nice kit. So I'm going to get everything set up and put off to the side, and then we can start going through everything that is included in this box. So give me 1 second and I'll be right back. Alright, so we're starting off with the instructions here. Again, a nice printout right here. It's a booklet format, but it's not stapled, so I think after everything is said and done, I'm going to go in with a stapler and staple this booklet so it's a little bit easier to maintain. But again, we have a nice kind of repeat of the box art on the front. Then we open it up, we have kind of a parts call out with our photo etch right here, And then going on, I'm trying to figure out how this actually goes. So, one second. Let me... Alright, I think actually it goes like this for our instructions. We're going to figure this out together. Alright, so going on, and then we have a nice little print or a picture of all the 3D printed parts that are included in this kit. We flip it over to the other side, and then we have our photo etch, our decal sheets, and then also our paint mask sheet right here. And then up next, we have some parts to prep, getting some things cut out. Right here it does look like it comes with a jig to cut off the very bow of the boat, because we are going to replace it with a 3D printed part right there. And then we also have some parts to cut out for our deck and prep for our VLS launchers and a few other parts going along right in here. Alright, and then we're flipping it over, and then we're adding in more detail parts to the superstructure. Right in here, some hatches and all that going on. Just a lot of fine little 3D printed detail going on right here. We do have a couple holes to fill up as well. Right there. Alright, moving on to the next page, we have some of the 3D printed parts right here. Watertight doors, our rear deck parts, hull hooks, our sonar dome, anchor related sheet, our anchor, our jig, the front nose, anchor chain, all that going on, which we're going to get to see all that here in just a second. Flip it over, we're going on. So each one of the blocks are actually meant for certain sections of this build right here. So you can see the bridge, and they are nicely identified on the sheet. So you're definitely going to want to keep this close by. So when you're looking for all the parts, it's going to make it a lot easier to find them. Alright, and then continue on more with the 3D printed blocks right here with more of our parts going on right here. Looks like we only have one helicopter included in this kit. We're going to have to check it out and see how it looks when it's all said and done. Alright, and then we have our, again, 3D printed parts right here, and then we have our paint mask, kind of how it's supposed to look at the very end. Again, looking very nice on these. And then another thing with our mask, paint mask, and our VLS front, our Mark 45 right here. Again, photo etch and all the detail parts that are going to be going onto the front of the superstructure right here. Then moving right along, we're adding in our phalanx, our radar, all the detail pieces along here, looking very nice. This is going to be extremely detailed when it is all done, and looking absolutely gorgeous as well. We also have the paint mask included in this to kind of help get that anti-slip texture on here. But again, as you can see, all the 3D printed details. I'm hoping that these figures come with it. If not, I'll have to find them just to kind of liven up the decks on this. So again, looking very nice with all, I mean, you can see all the 3D printed parts that are included in this kit. Absolutely a ton of 3D printed parts right here. Continue on your exhaust stacks, radar dishes, your phalanx, right here, your sea whiz going on, all your life rafts going on, all the detail on there. Flip it over, just a repeat of the other side right here with our ribs. We do have some photo etch for the crane line right there. All of our chocks and bits and everything. Keeping on moving on. You can see everything. Oh, almost forgot the other side with our helicopter right here. paint mask, everything for our flight deck. Looking very nice. Now we have the different options for mask. Does have the option, it shows you right here, 3D resin part, photo etch part, original part, and original photo etch part. So you're going to be mixing a little bit of everything with this with the kit, and they are easily drawn out. So this black part right here, part 161, that's a 3D printed part right there. Then you have this red one, which is a photo etch part from the kit going on, and then I'm looking for some other parts. So blue is a original part right there, and then the green parts, not seeing any green parts, so except for this mask right here, we do have a few original kit parts going on right there. Alright, and then we flip it over to the other side, and then we have some diagrams of it. I'm not sure what this is for, but again, very nice. Then moving right along with that, more diagrams going on. And then reverse side, again, more diagrams. R9, R10, we'll have to see what these parts are meant for. Maybe they are kit parts, but we'll have to see. And then we have the instructions for our paint mask going on right in here. And now we have our decal options. So you can see all the different decal options that we have. So for flight 1, we have DDG 51 through 71, the Arliegh Burke, Barry, John Paul Jones, Curtis Wilbur, Stout, John S. McCain, Mischer, Laboon, Russell, Paul Hamilton, Ramage, Fitzgerald, Stetham, Carney, Benfold, Gonzalez, Cole, the Sullivans, Milius, Hopper, and Ross. And for flight 2, we have the Mahan, Decatur, McFowle, Donald Cook, Higgins, O'Kane, and the Porter. So for me, I'm thinking right now, the two options that are sticking out to me, or three options, are the Arliegh Burke, the Cole, and the Sullivans, just because of the story behind those three and how well they are known on that. And then we have our decal placement locations right here. Again, looking very nice. Adding more decals to it, so we have all the placards and everything going on here. As you can see, looking very nice. And then more decal placements on these for the superstructure right here. And then flip it over, we have the decal placements for our helicopter. So we have a lot more decals for the helicopter than what is included in the kit. So definitely going to be using this one for the exterior 60 that I'm doing. The other one, I probably might not put any decals on it because you won't really be able to see that. Alright, so up next are our decals. All the decals are printed by Cartograph right here. So we know that they're going to be absolutely amazing. And as you can see, these decals look very nice indeed. I'm not seeing any issues. All the carrier film to these are cut very close to the actual decal, so you're not going to really have a battle with that. And then all the other little parts for our helicopters going on right here. Looks like we do have two different options for our helicopters. We do have the low vis and the high vis version, so maybe we do have decals, enough decals for two different helicopters. That will be very nice indeed for that. And then all of the other stencils right here going on very nice like that. And then we have our large decal sheet with the actual hull numbers going on, and all of our placards and such, and the hull names going on right here. So again, all very nice decals printed by Cartograph, so no issues that I am seeing. The waterline numbers all look very clear, easily readable. And then we have our ribbon bars right here for everything that they've earned. So again, looking very nice indeed on these decals. Alright, so up next we have three decal or masking sheets right here. They are all excuse me, laser cut. So all you'll have to do is find the instruction or follow the instructions to get these laid down. We have two of them are full-size decal sheets right here, and then you have this one that's about half size. And we also do get a sheet of transfer film as well to help with the application of these paint masks as well. Alright, and then up next we get 4 photo etch frets right here. As you can see, these are a lot thinner than the ones that come in the kit, and they do look very nice. There's your first one right there. I'm trying not to blind you guys with the photo etch and the light, but as you can see right here, all very nice photo etch indeed, and very thin as well. Then we have another 2 of them that are our large photo etch sheets with all of our railing going on right through here. We even have some of the cable droop on the on some of the cables or railing right here going on. So all looking very nice on that. And then our final photo etch fret right here, again with all the railing going on and a few other detail parts going on with this photo etch fret. So a lot of photo etch included in this set. Alright, so to start off with, all the 3D print blocks that are in this kit are very well packed. They are all wrapped in bubble wrap and nicely protected. This first couple that we're going to be going through, they are packed separately in a box, and I can see why now, because these are all the flight deck nets on this one. I'm only going to pull one of them out, and I'm being extremely careful because I do not want any of this to break when I'm doing this. But hold on a second, let me get this out. Alright, so looking at this, the netting is absolutely gorgeous. The fine detail, the actual rails are very thin, and you can even see that they do have the droop to the netting, the natural droop to the netting that is actually there, versus a photo etch one which is just going to be flat. So again, these are looking very nice, very thin, and we get a total of 4 of these 3D print blocks. Sorry, there's another one that was hidden in there in that one little baggie, so we get a total of 4, or basically 6 of these blocks with the nets right here. So again, very nicely detailed on these as well. Alright, so up next we have our MH-60R helicopter, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so hopefully you can see some of the detail if the camera will. But the detail on this piece is absolutely amazing, especially for the scale on it. We can see our Hellfires right here are the option, and then we have another one right here with our fuel tank and a few other bits going on here. So again, looking very nice indeed, and I'm guessing that we'll have another 60 in here as well, because we do have the folded option for this kit. So again, looking very nice on this build right here. This is looking really nice. The one downside to this that I would say would possibly be the fact that the windows are I mean, and this is being nitpicky, but the windows aren't clear, so we're gonna have to paint those windows as well. But for this scale, you don't really have to worry about it. And now I'm looking at it, and holy crap, I'm sorry for my language, but there's even an interior inside of this. You can see on the inside, let me grab my flashlight real quick. Alright, so looking at, you can see even there is an interior printed into this. This is, I mean, I am amazed by the detail that's even on the inside of that. As you can see right there, I mean, that is just absolutely gorgeous. Compared to what is in the kit, where it's just a solid door, which, I mean, in 1/200 scale, that would be okay. But this, I don't know how I'm going to paint the inside of that, honestly. Because there's full detail in there. With the operator's chair, the operator's console right there. I mean, that is, I'm absolutely amazed by that, honestly. Alright, and then up next we have our main rotor head. So we have the extended and the folded version right here, and then we do have two tail rotors right here. So I'm really hoping that we have a second kit or second helo included in this kit. Alright, so up next we have parts listed for our mast 1 right here. Nicely labeled, and you can see all the fine detail parts that are in there with our mast. Radar, you're going to have to be very careful when you're cutting these off of these sprues or this print block, so you don't lose off any of it to the carpet monster. But again, looking very nice indeed for that. And then we have the other one right here. Alright, so this looks like this is going to be our chaff dispensers and a few other things going on right here. As you can see, very small. I mean, this is how small the detail is to it. Looking at a standard hobby blade right here, you can see how big that piece is, right? So again, very, very small. Alright, so moving on, these are parts for our front deck right here. As you can see, all very nicely printed. Detail on it, again, absolutely amazing. And again, just gonna have to be very careful when you're cutting these off of each block, so you don't lose anything when you're doing it. Then we have one for our center deck right here. As you can see, again, a lot of very fine detail, nicely printed. Like looking at these goosenecks, these are absolutely amazing as well. And then the watertight doors, again, really, really nice. And flip it over to the other side so you can see some more of this detail going on right there. Then we have some more detail with our watertight hatches and all of that going on. Looks like we even have the options to have those in the open or closed position for our watertight hatches. We'll have to see about that. And this one is for our rear deck right there. Alright, up next we have our right and left wall parts. I'm guessing that's right and left wall parts right here. As you can see, looking very nice. They are all lettered right here. I'm trying to read what the letters are. But again, very nice, nicely printed right here. Oh, okay, so if you flip it over, you can read the numbers. They are R1, R2, R3, and so on. So again, looking very nice. Not much to these parts, but just a little bit. And then we're moving on to our front and back wall parts right here. Again, very nicely detailed, very fine detail. Even some of these like little parts right here are very, very small. And you can see, like I said, with the for a size comparison of a standard hobby knife, that's how small those parts are. And then moving on, we have our rear structure right here. Again, very nice. You can even see the ladder that's printed onto here that is separate from the bulkhead. Again, absolutely amazing detail. And then we have our connection points. I think that's where this radar dish goes, or SATCOM goes, and then all the other parts on there. Flip it over to the other side and you can see some of that detail in there as well. So when I'm going to be building this, I'm going to only be cutting off these top walls right here. I'm going to leave this part on so it really helps identify what parts I need when I'm getting to a certain section. Alright, so in our next bag we have our anchor chain, and as you can see, it's very small, very fine. It's already kind of popped off of the supports here, but again, looking very nice on that, all the individual chains. And these are actually proper size for an anchor chain that is on the front of a destroyer versus the anchor chain that is included in the kit. So this is nice. I'm definitely going to use the other chain that for something else. because that chain is just a little bit too small for this, but this would actually be the right size chain. And the other thing is I'm going to have to figure out, well, I already know the colors of the shots and the color of the chain that's going to be on this deck, so definitely going to be looking forward to painting that. Alright, so up next we have our sonar dome right here. You can see we have that nice bolt detail and panel line detail that's in there for that. The one issue that there is with this part right here, once the camera focuses back, we do have the 3D print lines. I'm going to zoom out now. We do have the 3D print lines, but they are very shallow and shouldn't take a lot to sand out, and you shouldn't lose any of this other detail when you're sanding out the print lines on that. But the detail on this sonar bowl versus the part that's in the kit is a lot better, because the kit part is just a solid piece. There's no detail on it. Well, this one actually does have the difference in cover right here. So again, very nicely done. Just take a little bit of work to get this cleaned up. Alright, so up next we have our two ribs right here, our rigid hull inflatable boats, and also our crane and a few other parts in here. It does say rib and the crane parts for here. I'm not sure if these are life rafts or what else they are, but again, all looking very nicely detailed. You can even see some of the detail that's on this crane right here. Again, looking very nice. And then you have some photo etch line that's going to go on there for the anchor line, or not the anchor line, but the crane line right there. But again, looking very nice on that. You can even see the jet drive on the end of the ribs right here, which is again nicely detailed. The center console again has a lot of nice detail with the steering wheel and the helm, and all of that detail that's in there. So again, looking very nice. And on the underside, again, we have some nice hull detail on the bottom there as well. Alright, so now moving on to our first VLS, our vertical launch system launcher right here. Again, really nice detail on this. I will say that it does look better than what is provided in the kit, just because it is 3D printed, and the detail is going to be a lot better in 3D printing than injection molding. So I believe this one is for our rear. It doesn't say which one it's for, but I'm sure in the instructions we'll be able to tell which one is which, because we have the front one coming up next. Alright, and like I said, we have our front launcher right here. Again, really nice detail on all these panels right here. As you can see, this is going to print up or paint up very nicely when it's all done. Alright, and now we have another bulkhead with a hatch right here. As you can see, the detail even separate, you can see through the hinges right there. And then we have some other detail parts going on with our watertight hatch right here. Even the small little handles that are on there, they look very brittle, so definitely going to have to be very careful when painting those and even assembling them as well. Alright, so up next we have our M2, M240, M60 machine guns right here. As you can see, very finely detailed right through there. All the ammo cans, everything looking very nice. Double barrels looking. I'm just amazed by all the detail that's in this kit so far. And then we have our machine gun shields right here. Not much of those, but you can even see the stamping on the writing on these shields as well. I'm hoping those will pick up in the camera. They are so small, but they are there. So again, absolutely amazing. Alright, and up next we have our just a bunch of different radio antennas, super high frequency, extreme high frequency radars going on right here, or antennas, not radars. And you can even see a ladder going on to that as well, and just super fine detail. With the bulbs, we do have a few of the 3D print lines on that, but again, really shallow and will be really easy to clean up. Just a couple quick hits with a very high grit sandpaper will take care of that. And these, you don't really have to worry about how brittle they are versus some of the other things in here. But again, these are all looking very nice. Alright, so up next we even have the speakers printed right here for the weather decks. As you can see, again, very nicely detailed on that. If it was injection molding, these would all just be solid pieces right here. But you can even see the center of the microphone and the speaker going on right there. And then for the other one, we have our lights as well. Again, super fine detail molded into this. This is absolutely amazing. Alright, next block is our ladders, and as you can see, these are super thin and detailed right here, looking very nice. This is so much better than having a fold photo etch on this. This just looks absolutely amazing. And we have a few other parts in the background right there. As you can see, just absolutely amazing on this. You can see the individual steps right there. Alright, and now we have our SPY radar dishes right here. SPY 1D radar, Aegis radar. Again, looking very nice. The detail is about the same as what is provided in the kit. I'm not seeing much difference between the two. Sorry, I can't really get a really good shot in here because of all the supports going on. But I don't want to cut those off yet. Not until I'm building this, this build. Alright, moving right along, we have our smokestacks. And you can see just the level of detail. Even inside the stacks, we have some very nicely printed detail on there. These are going to look absolutely amazing when they're painted and weathered and all that. So again, this is definitely an upgrade from the kit, I will have to say. Alright, and up next we have all of our ammo storage containers right here. Again, nicely detailed, nicely printed. No issues with anything on that. Alright, so up next we have the blocks with all of our bits on here. Again, nicely molded. You can even see the cap on the bit. So again, very nicely done on that. And then all of our chocks through here. Again, very nicely molded on those. See straight through all of them right there. So, alright, and up next we have another one that is our CWIS system right here. Again, very nice detail all around on here. As you can see, we'll say this is a little bit of an upgrade from the kit. I don't know how big of an upgrade from the kit it is, but it is, like, right now looking a little bit better. I'm sure that when I get the magnifiers on and I'm looking at this again, this will be a major upgrade. Main thing is on the handles right here, the steps to get up to the CWIS system, those are all individually very brittle. It's looking for our steps right there. Okay, and this is antenna support right here. Not much detail to that, but again, looking very nice. Alright, so this is just a block of additional parts right here. Not sure what all these are meant for. Some hatches, some other parts. Again, some cabling going on or some hosing going on right there. But again, all the 3D print parts are, I mean, very fine. You can even see this one piece right here is, I mean, super thin. I mean, that is paper thin, if not thinner than paper. Alright, and now we have our torpedo tubes right here. Again, looking very nice in all of our launchers and everything. So again, looking very nicely detailed on this, as you can see. Alright, so on this one we have our flagstaff and various antennas included in the kit right here. As you can see, a list of all the antennas that are on this 3D print block. Again, very fine detail on everything. It's looking very nice on here. Alright, so up next we have our bridge. Now I will say that this does look a lot better than what is included in the kit. As you can see, all the windows are drilled out or not there, so definitely going to get some clear acetate to put on the back side of this to make the windows. But again, looking very nice. And then we can see our compass right there, and there is a lot of fine detail right on the framing of all the windows as well. So again, very nicely done on all that. You can see the watertight door for the bridge wing right here, and then we have our top side of the bridge right here, where we're going to be adding in some more detail parts on that as well. So again, looking very nice. Alright, so we have some more parts to the bridge right here. As you can see, some spotlights, what's looking like, and a few other parts. Our captain's chair right here, again, looking very nice. Actually, two captain's chairs going on right there. And then with this one, we have bridge number 3. Some more detail parts for our bridge going on with our watertight doors and all of that going right there, and then some very fine, very small detail parts right through there. All looks like our dogs for our doors right here. Dogs meaning our door handles right there. Alright, so now we have some more of our electronic warfare suite right here. As you can see, all the dishes and panels and everything going on right there. Fine detail, all looking very nice. And then we get this very small one with some very thin printed, very delicate objects right there. Alright, so now this is for our replenishment, our RAS, underway replenishment, or replenishment at sea station right here. Again, looking very nice indeed on that. Very fine details on those all the way around. And I'm sure it's going to look even better when it's all cut out and individually painted. These are going to look very nice. Alright, up next we have some very fine, small detail. I'm not sure what all these are for. There is a list of everything that is there. It looks like fire extinguishers and all that going on with this. But again, oh, we do have our hose holds right here. Our fire line holds. Again, very nice. Our life rings going on. Right, now that I'm looking at it closer, I can actually see what it is. And then our next block is of our hose reels. So again, very nice. We can even see the very nozzle on the very tip of the hose right there. So again, absolutely, I mean, I'm amazed by all the detail that is printed in here. And we have another block. I mean, these are very small parts. These are our rail stands from what it looks like. Again, very small. You can't even really tell what they are on camera. Alright, so first up we have a piece that broke off. This is the housing for our Mark 48 gun. We do have a few of the 3D print lines right there, as you can see, but sanding those down won't really affect any of the detail that's on there. But as you can see, it is very nicely done. Yeah, the 3D print lines are a little bit, and the camera zoomed in, they look a lot worse than what they actually do look from the Mark 1 eyeball. So don't read too much into that. And then we have the rest of the parts for our Mark 48 cannon, or Mark 45 gun as well, as you can see. And the barrels are drilled out, as hopefully you can see that. So again, looking very nicely done. And we do have two options for our gun. We have the 5-inch 54 cal and the 5-inch 52 cal single gun right here. Alright, so now we have some of our deck edge antenna and also our torpedo or towed torpedo decoy right here as well. So all that looking pretty nice on there. It is a little bit glossy, but again, all of this is going to be painted over anyways. Alright, up next we have our fire control radar right here. Again, I mean, the detail on this and the printing on it is super fine and super detailed. Absolutely amazing. Even on the back end of these antenna, you can see all the cabling and everything that's going on right in there. All the electronic wires and everything going on with the antennas on there. Alright, so up next we have, not sure what these parts are for once I get you on camera. Oh, okay. When you flip them the right side up, you can tell that they are actual figures right here. So, again, very nice. We have various different poses on here. Again, looking very nice. When you flip it over upside down and you're looking at it, you really can't tell. It looks like just a bunch of little parts, but when you kind of flip it over like that, you can tell that they're figures because you can see the arms and legs and the head and all that. So again, super happy that they do include figures in this kit. Alright, up next we have our boat davits right here. As you can see, looking very nice, printed up on that. And then on our other one, we have our other davit and our water valves as well. So, again, super fine detail on everything going on with these two blocks. Alright, so up next we have our supply accommodation ladder right here. Alright, so I will say, out of all the prints I've seen so far in this kit, that this is probably the roughest print I've seen. So I'm not sure on how this is supposed to look, or if it's going to look better maybe when it's all cut out and separate from the print block. But for me so far, this is really the only bad part that I've seen out of this entire set of 3D prints. Alright, so up next we have our watertight doors, hatches, bulkheads, all that going on. We even have one with the hatch open right here, as you can see. That looks absolutely amazing on there. And as you can see right through here on that. So definitely on this one, when you use it, you're going to have to cut out and block off that area so it doesn't look like it's just going straight into empty plastic right there. So that's one little thing that you're going to have to look into doing some scratch building when you use that set right there. But it shouldn't take much, just a squared out black block right there. Alright, and then moving right along, we have mast number 2 block, and you can see all the gangways and planks and everything going on. We even have all the railing already printed onto these walkways for our mast, which is going to make life a lot easier when you are painting this and dealing with photo etch and everything. So again, very nice, very finely printed parts right here. Again, I'm not sure how this railing is supposed to go there. That looks like it might be a little bit of a misprint right there. We'll have to check it out and see. Maybe we need to put in a sanction right there, because otherwise when I cut this piece off right here, the support, it's just going to be free floating right there. So, but other than that, and that is being nitpicky right there on that piece. Alright, so up next we have our propellers. All the propeller blades are separately printed. Hopefully the guide holes are in a right shape and connection points so you can get the pitch correct on your blades. But again, the detail on them and the curvature to them looks absolutely amazing on these. So nice and razor thin as well. Alright, so up next we have our Mark 38 Mod 2 28mm machine gun right here. Again, really nice detail on all of that. Looking very nice, and even the walkway around it, as you can see, the detail in that walkway is absolutely amazing. Alright, so now we have some components for our anchor right here. As you can see, some very nicely detailed parts printed right there. And then we have the front nose for our Arliegh Burke right here. looking very nice. Again, we have the 3D print lines, but will sand out real easily. And we also have the jig to cut the original kit nose off in the right place for that. So again, looking very nice. We have the bowl nose for the anchor and everything right there, hollow through, so definitely a see-through right there, and looking a lot better than what the kit part did. Alright, so now we have parts for our LiDAR or LiDAR right here. Again, all very nicely detailed on the parts. I mean, the printing on this is absolutely top-notch, absolutely amazing. Sorry I moved my hand out of the shot for a second, but again, this is just all absolutely amazing on this. I can't say it enough. I know I've said it a lot. I sound like a broken record, but I mean, it's just jaw-dropping on how beautiful these 3D prints are. Alright, so up next we have some more Life Raft containers right here. We have the Life Raft racks right here. Again, looking very nicely detailed on those. Alright, so up next we have our anchor parts right here. As you can see, looking very nice. This is actually the correct anchor for this. And then we have the other smaller anchor right here. Looking very nice, and then our anchor shaft and everything are separate pieces right there. So again, looking very nice indeed on all of these. A lot better than the kit part in my opinion. Alright, so up next we have two of the identical blocks right here, as you can see, and these are some very, very small parts. Not sure exactly what they are. Actually here they says haul hooks right here, so not sure exactly where these are going to go, but we'll find out when we actually build it from the instructions. Alright, so now we have our fuel probe connector right here. Again, the detail printed into this is absolutely astonishing. I'm flabbergasted about how nice this detail is, especially down to this scale. I would expect this in larger scales, but the fact that it's in 1/200 scale and so small, I am, like I said, absolutely flabbergasted about how nice all the detail is on this print job. Alright, so now we have our last block of the kit, and this is for our signal flag box. Again, just the detail in here. The camera can't even really pick it all up. It's so fine, but I'm hoping that I can do the best I can to help you get that fine detail in there and show you how nice this all looks compared to the kit parts. These are just a million times better. Even though the kit parts are very, very nice, don't get me wrong, but these just are way above and beyond the kit parts right there. Alright, so that is everything for the HS Models Arliegh Burke class destroyer 1/200 scale upgrade set. And yes, this box is, or this kit is a very pricey upgrade. Like I said earlier, anywhere between $400 and $500 for it. But as you can see, you get a absolute ton of 3D printed materials and upgrade parts in this kit, including also the very large photo etch frets, the decal sheets, the masking sheets, and everything else that is included in this is just, it's mind-boggling about how much you get in this upgrade set. And yes, it does cost a lot, but with how much CAD work and test prints and test fits and getting it all to work out, it's definitely, in my opinion, worth all the money, because you get a ton of stuff in here. And we literally went through everything that was in this box. The one thing that I'm kind of sad about is the fact that on the box it had the folded MH60R, but I didn't see the folded one in here. I'll have to go back through it and see if I missed something, but I don't think I did. But really, that is the only downside to the entire kit. Even the 60 had a full interior on it, which is absolutely mind-blowing in 1/200 scale. And then all the other detail on it, just, I mean, gorgeous. That's all I can say, is absolutely gorgeous. This is really going to help this kit go to the extreme next level. This is going to jump like 10-15 steps on this kit. So so this upgrade set, I'm really glad I got it. Now the kit, the original kit straight out of the box, looks very nice, and I've seen some pictures of it built up straight out of the box, and it also does look very nice. If you want to see what this kit looks like with all the upgrade sets on it, you can go to the HS Models Facebook page. I'll put the link to their Facebook page down in the description here, and you can see what they do with their Arliegh Burke destroyers and some of the waterline bases that they have going on. I'm hoping that they can put those out for sale in the future, or I'm just going to make my own. So we'll have to see what happens. But other than that, that's all I have to say for this inbox review. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope, if you're able to, I hope that you get this along with the DDG from I Love kit, and I hope you enjoy building it. But other than that, if you haven't yet, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment down below, and hit the bell button for notifications of when I post future content. And until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. You stay frosty, and happy modeling.